having this idea of who I was supposed to be as a man, but not fulfilling on that, it was one of the worst feelings ever. And for me, it was really just this lack of belief in myself. I had gotten so used to letting other people, things, and situation dictate what I was going to do with my own personal life. And it started back from, when I was a kid. As soon as I was born, my mother gave me up. I was put directly in foster care. And I think over time that did something on in my head. And it gave me this feeling that I wasn't good enough. So I was always set out to prove myself. I was always trying to fit in. I was always like a chameleon, and I never really found myself. I never really found my true purpose. And I think a lot of men, we get caught up in this situation where, we want to fit in and we want to stand out and we want to seem special, but we just get caught up in the rat race, especially as I got older and had started having kids and a family. I was just going through the motion and had no actual sense of purpose for my life. And I was lost. And it wasn't to the point where I hit a brick wall and I was just like, enough is enough. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I made a clear, conscious decision that I was going to change my life. It wasn't going to be on anybody else. It was all on me. And when I did this, it was like instantaneously, I took full responsibility for everything in my life. And as soon as I did that, it was like this instant relief. It's like I had taken back control. For so many years, I let someone else hold the pen, someone else hold the key to my happiness, someone else dictate how I was going to maneuver my life as a grown man. As a grown man, I was letting other people dictate how I was going to run my life. And it was at that very moment I said, first thing, I'm going to get control of my thoughts, my mind, how I think, what I allow to take hold and take root in my mind. Because at that time, I was doing everything. I was listening to the news. I was listening to the media. I was listening to friends that were headed in totally different directions. So I was all over the place. I was just drifting. I had no clear purpose, no clear goal, no clear line in sight. So for me, it was just like, okay, the very first thing I need to do is get my mind in check. The thoughts that I have, the things that I spend my time dwelling on, those need to be in alignment with the man that I needed to be. And at that point, once I started getting my mind together, I started like visualizing, like, who do I want to be? 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 3 years from now, what does that man actually look like? Because I didn't even know what that looked like. And it was like apparent to me, like, first thing you need to do, like, you physically need to get yourself together. I wasn't happy when I looked in the mirror. I was fluffy. I didn't like that. So it became a mission to get in the best possible shape that I've ever been in my life. And it wasn't about physically the look that was going to happen. I understood, like, it was a process to get that. And most people aren't willing to go through that process. Most people aren't willing to do the hard things. And for me, I knew that was a way that I could separate myself from the pack. I understood that, okay, if I'm willing to do what other people aren't willing to do, there's certain characteristics, skills that I'm going to have to learn, and those are going to transfer into other aspects of my life. So I started getting up earlier, which I was not a morning person, but I knew other people weren't willing to get up early. I stayed committed no matter what. There was plenty of days where I didn't want to go to the gym. I would get up, my alarm would go off, and the very first thought process would be like, just go back to bed. You shouldn't be up this early. You can get up a little later. There's no need for you to get up this early. But it was developing that discipline to bypass my actual feelings. Because the first thing is to give into your feelings. That's how I was. Like, I would just give into my feelings. Oh, I don't feel like doing this, so I'm not going to do it. Oh, I don't know. I'm not feeling it today, so I wouldn't do it. But every other aspect of my life, when it came to my career, I would be willing to do things even if I didn't feel like it for another grown man, but yet I wasn't willing to do it for myself, so it didn't make sense. So I learned, okay, I'm not going to do that no more. I'm not going to give into my feelings. I'm going to rely on habit, and I'm going to rely on discipline. Because when I would give into my feelings, what I would use is motivation and willpower, those were things that I would use to get me amped up and do what I needed to do. I'd have to put on C.T. Fletcher or something to get me motivated. I wasn't able to motivate myself, or I needed to muster up the willpower to do it. But you know what? Some days I didn't feel like mustering up the energy to do something. Some days I lacked the motivation. Matter of fact, a lot of days I lacked the motivation. So I thought about it, and things that were habits, things that I had developed discipline, it didn't matter how I felt about it, I would do it anyway. Like there were plenty days, like I had a really long day and I would come home, I would never get in my bed without showering. That was just like a no-no. No matter how I felt, no matter how tired I would always get in the shower, then brush my teeth, then get in the bed. I never skipped those steps, no matter how tired I was, no matter what I felt. And like it clicked in my head. I was like, that's because it's a habit. And I've developed that over time. Because even like my kids, you know, I have young kids, and young kids, they don't have the habit of showering or taking a bath. So they have to develop that. They don't have the habit of brushing their teeth. So that came through repetition. So I was like, okay, all I need to do is get up and go no matter what. And eventually that will become a habit. It will become a behavior that I do no matter what. And at the end of the day, the thing that was holding me back was myself. And what I've learned over the years from my own personal results in working with all kinds of different clients, the only thing that's holding you back is yourself. It's yourself. It's this story that you're telling yourself in your head, that you're repeating to yourself in your head. I can't do this. Especially as men get older. As men get older, we just give up on our dreams. Oh, I can't do this now. I have kids. I have a wife. She's not going to want me to do this. Like, this is just my current reality. Why? Why would you tell yourself that story? Do you really think your significant other would not appreciate if you set out on this mission to become a better man? Do you think they're really going to have a problem with that? And if they do, you're probably with the wrong person. That's probably not your person. Do you think your kids are going to object to the fact that their dad is turning into a badass? That he says something and actually delivers on that? Because prior, I wouldn't do that. I would say all of these things that I'm going to do, and I would never deliver on those things. And it left me with this feeling of guilt. I felt guilty because I would tell people things, or even myself, and I wouldn't fulfill on those. And it happened over and over and over and over. And what happened is it gave me this mindset, I'm a loser, because I would lose back to back to back to back. You know, I remember playing on this basketball team. I think I was in 5th grade. And up until this time, I'd always played on winning teams. But this season, for whatever reason, we lost almost every single game. And it was detrimental to my mindset because before, instead of going into games thinking like, how much are we going to win by? It was the mindset of, I hope we win. I hope we don't get blown out. And it's the same thing in life. You have to develop ways to win every single day. And I just gamified everything. If I got up on time, that's a win. If I made it to the gym, that's a win. If I crush my workout, that's a win. If I get my breakfast in and hit a certain amount of protein, that's a win. And it was like win, 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 win. And my wins were based on my action, not the outcome. I set up the game so I could win, because there's going to be times when you're going to do the actions, but you're not going to get the results that you think you should get at that current time. But here's what I know from doing this for a long time. If you continue to do the actions over a long period of time, it's impossible for you not to get the wins. It's impossible for you not to hit your goals. So base your activity, base your gauges off the actions, off your inputs. If you get the right inputs, if you're doing the right inputs, with the consistency, the intensity that you need to be, it is impossible not to get the outputs or the outcome that you want. But really, the only thing standing between who you are currently and the man you deserve to be is you. That's it. It's your limiting beliefs and your worldview. Change them and you change your life.